Welcome to this latest version of Bite-Sized Performance Psychology. In this video, what we're going to look at is something that's been made very popular by Dr. Steve Peters. Dr. Steve Peters is the psychiatrist who works with predominantly British cycling, and he's put together a model which has worked very successfully and which he talks about quite a lot, with how athletes can manage their emotions, and effectively he's put together this model. He talks a lot about the model and you'll be able to see different things about Dr. Peters within the website, but it's a very useful model that athletes really seem to enjoy. So I'm going to go through how I've applied it with an athlete, and to give you some idea of the materials that I produced for this particular athlete when I was introducing him to the idea of kind of chimp management and emotional control. So this was the first sheet that me and the athlete worked through, and if we look here, it talks about the golden rule. So whenever as an athlete you encounter something and it produces a feeling or an emotional response that you're not happy with, or you're uncomfortable with, or it doesn't help you with your performance, then the chances are that you've been hijacked by the part of the brain that controls our emotional responses. And this part of the brain, Dr. Peters refers to as your chimp. And he says that the chimp's always the first thing to react. So when we encounter anything stressful, that will produce an emotional response. And the important thing for the athlete is to understand that the chimp then offers you a response, and it doesn't mean you have to accept it. And that's a real key thing for athletes, to understand that when you encounter something and it produces an emotional response, you're not a passive person in that relationship. You can reject that emotional response if it's something that doesn't help you perform. So, I mean, sometimes the emotional response that the chimp generates will help you perform, so you can accept it. But sometimes, maybe if you get frustrated if you've just missed a shot, or there's been a bad decision against you and you get frustrated, and that might send you off track for a bit. Of course, isn't an emotional response that we want. So you can choose to reject the offer that the chimp makes you with that response, or you can choose to accept it. But what you need to understand is that if you reject the chimp's offer, the chimp will get upset about this, and you need to kind of manage the chimp and control the chimp. And what Peters is talking about there is really managing or controlling your emotional response. Now, the thing that he says that you can't do is you can't try and fight the chimp brain, that's the emotional aspect of your brain, with your human brain, which is the more rational part of your brain that deals in facts and figures and not emotion. Because the chimp is, as Peters says, 5 times stronger than the human brain. So every time you try to rationalise, if the chimp is still unhappy and out of control, the chimp will start beating down your arguments and will stick with its emotional response. So that's a very important thing to remember. And so that leads into, well, how do we manage or control our emotional responses? Therefore, how do we manage or control our chimp? And what the model talks about is nurturing and managing the chimp. So what you need to remember is chimps are often insecure and require a lot of reassurance, so kind of confidence building techniques. Find some respect and trust to reassure your chimp. The more which you do this, the more relaxed the chimp will be and the easier it will be to manage. So those are important things to remember with regards to the management of the chimp. So what Peters says is that if you have your emotional control, or your chimp part of the brain is getting out of control and it's not helping your performance, then what you need to do is to find a way of releasing that emotion. Find something that is a bit more acceptable, something that isn't going to damage other people or yourself, a way of releasing that pent up emotion that you might feel. And it's all about kind of letting off steam. But what you need to do is you need to think about how you can allow your chimp to let off steam in a way that's not going to cause a problem for either you or the people around you. So that might mean going away somewhere on your own. That might mean speaking or venting your frustrations to a trusted person, maybe away from other people. Someone who you've spoken to and explained what you're doing, so that when it does happen they know not to take it personally or interrupt you. But you'll be able to come up with your own ways of being able to let off steam. The second, once your chimp has let off steam, then what Peter says is that you're able to box your chimp. So by boxing the chimp will calm down, your emotional side of the brain will start to relax and calm down, and you will be able to think more rationally and logically using the human side of the brain. So that's where the human side of the brain that deals in facts and figures will be able to think more clearly and more rationally about what decisions you need to make in that situation. Peters offers a second way of managing your chimp, and effectively he calls that giving your chimp a banana. And what he means by that is the banana is a way of distracting your chimp. So it might be that you use the banana of reward, or you might use the banana as a distraction. So either way, it will take your focus and your concentration away from your primary emotional response that you've decided isn't a good one or a useful one to help you with your performance. So typically types of distractions that athletes use a lot, maybe things like music. So to be able to use music to manage their emotional responses is quite a good one, especially with things like iPods and how you can carry music in quite portable formats around with you now. And Peter's acknowledged that giving your chimp a banana, distracting or rewarding your chimp, isn't as an effective way of boxing it, but is a useful technique or useful set of techniques that you can use anyway. So exercising your chimp, then your chimp will get boxed, or giving your chimp a banana. Those are kind of like the overarching ideas about how to manage your chimp or how to manage your emotional responses. The actual specific techniques and strategies that will allow you to do this will be very individual and will be very specific to you, and maybe even to your particular sport, because different sports will have different opportunities or gaps where you can which will give you opportunity to manage your chimp effectively during those breaks in play potentially. But later on in a different bite-sized psychology video, we'll look at specific techniques with regards to exercising and giving bananas to your chimp.